Welcome to another episode of Limitless Takes. I'm your host, Brian James. Today we are going to talk about college football. We have number 4 Penn State with a good win over Villanova, 38-17. They have a great atmosphere at home. We had Notre Dame with a statement win over Wisconsin, 41-13. We had Georgia. Their offense was very rolling versus Vanderbilt as they won 62-0. Baylor had a big win versus Iowa State. Iowa State, they just struggled offensively and then began to play in the second half. Baylor crowd was chanting that the Iowa State was overrated, and Baylor got into the top 25 for that. Arkansas, Texas A&M. Arkansas just played great at the beginning. Got a hurt quarterback during the third quarter and started to struggle from there, but they ended up beating Texas A&M 20-10. You have Iowa, who is struggling versus Colorado State, not the greatest team around, but they still pulled off the win 24-14 as the number 5 in the country. We have Michigan, who's undefeated right now, getting number 14, beating the Rutgers 20-13. We have Clemson versus North Carolina State. North Carolina State looked pretty good throughout the whole game. Clemson, their quarterback, got hurt near the end. Clemson's been struggling a little bit throughout the season, and they're not as good without Trevor Lawrence. And we have Auburn getting a win versus Georgia State. Nothing really big about that, 34-24. We have UCLA, number 20. That's right now, beating Stanford 35-24. Michigan State undefeated, getting an OT win over Nebraska 23-20. We have Oklahoma State beating Kansas State. They're 19th. Oklahoma State is 31-20. We have Florida, who started to struggle at the beginning versus Tennessee. They're number 10. They pulled off the win 38-14. And we have Alabama, number 1. Always good, no matter what year, as long as they have Saban. And they beat Southern Miss 63-14, which is what the number 1 team in the country needs to do. Then we have Oklahoma, who was number 4 at the time, that then dropped to number 6 because they struggled versus a unranked West Virginia and won off a game-winning field goal 16-13. We had Ohio State, whose offense started to get going, and they pulled off a win versus Arkansas 59-7. BYU, number 13 rank, pull off the win versus South Florida 35-27. Then we have Oregon, who had a good win versus Arizona, had a great start at the beginning and an easy 10-0 lead within 2 minutes. Has a great interception off of a screen, so number 3 Oregon wins 41-19. We have the Jaguars versus Bengals. Bengals, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow have been hitting it off, so I got Bengals on that one. Titans, Jets. Jets just suck straight up. Titans are getting the offense rolling, so I'm going to take the Titans. Lions, Bears. Lions almost pulled off an upset versus the Ravens. And after Justin Tucker's 66-yard field goal that hit the goalpost and then bounced in for the NFL record and the win, we have I'm going to take the Bears. We have Colts versus Dolphins. I'm going to take Colts. I think they'll bounce back after struggling for the first few weeks. We have Browns, Vikings. I'm going to take the Browns, even though the Vikings haven't had close games with Browns. They just have weapons all around with Odell returning. We have Washington versus Falcons. I'm going to take Falcons because their offense just needs to start clicking, and that's all it is for them. We have Texans, Bills. I'm going to take Bills because they've been offensive powerhouse the last 2 weeks. And the Texans, they were struggling a little bit versus the Panthers in their loss. We have Giants versus Saints. I'm going to take the Saints because Giants, they're 0-3. They're very struggling right now. They just need more weapons for Danny Dimes, and people are getting hurt. Saquon's even back. We have Chiefs-Eagles. I'm going to take the Chiefs because Eagles, even though they've had pretty good games so far, Chiefs are going to bounce back like they always do, and they're just going to keep on rolling. We have Panthers-Cowboys. That one will actually be a decent game. Panthers undefeated so far. Sam Darnold going off. Cowboys offensive powerhouse as long as Dak is their quarterback. But I'm going to take the Cowboys. That ruined the Panthers undefeated due to their passing. We have Seahawks versus 49ers. That's always a good one. I'm going to take the Seahawks. Truly because Russell Wilson in the passing game just be clicking all over. We have Cardinals-Rams. That's going to be another good one. Rams and offensive powerhouse. Cardinals and offensive powerhouse. I think it's going to come down to Rams defense stopping the Cardinals, and I'm taking Rams. We have Steelers versus Packers. That one could be decent depending on how Ben Roethlisberger plays versus the Packers defense, but I'm going to take Packers because I think they're going to bounce back. Then we have Ravens versus Broncos. Ravens, Lamar Jackson going to ruin their undefeated season so far for the Broncos. I think Lamar's going to run all over them. Then we have Sunday Night Football with Buccaneers versus Patriots. Tom Brady returning to Foxborough. I'm going to take the Buccaneers as they had a tough loss versus the Rams, and Patriots had a tough loss versus Saints. But Buccaneers are going to bounce back, and Patriots are going to just fall farther down in that way better division. And a must-need win for the Bucs. Then we have Monday Night Football with the Raiders and Chargers. Chargers got a good win versus the Chiefs. Raiders still undefeated after a game-winning field goal in OT to advance them. I'm going to take the Chargers as an offensive powerhouse, and Justin Herbert just clicking. We are going to move on to the standings and how all the teams are doing in the NFL. We have the AFC East. Bills are 2-1, getting their offense clicking offensively after they got a tough loss week 1. Should have won that game, but they choked it away. We have Dolphins without Tua, who ended up almost coming back for the Raiders, but ended up losing an OT off of a game-winning field goal. We have the Patriots, who offensively sort of struggling, need to get the passing game down with Mac Jones, and Mac Jones starting to throw picks is not a good sign. Then we have the Jets with Zach Wilson, who there's not much you can say about him. He's just been terrible, absolutely terrible quarterback. With his receivers aren't helping. They need to surround him with more weapons. Moving on to the AFC West, we got Broncos and Raiders leading their division, both undefeated, 3-0. Broncos haven't played the greatest teams so far. Raiders have played actually really good teams, like the Ravens. That was a good win for them week 1. We have Chargers who beat the Chiefs head-to-head, and I think they'll start to click a little more as they'll take the top of the division eventually. Then we're going to have Chiefs who are going to end up in the wild card somehow, at least, make the playoffs at 1-2, and they just got to bounce back. We have the AFC North with the Bengals leading the division at 2-1, Ravens at 2-1, Browns at 2-1, and Steelers at 1-2. Steelers just haven't been clicking at all. Browns offense, they should have won versus the Chiefs week 1, but they just lost that away. We have Ravens who had a good win versus the Chiefs. They just need to start getting a few. Marquise Brown had a couple of key drops versus the Lions. Bengals, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow clicking like I said earlier. That's all they need to get going. Then we have the AFC South with the Titans leading the division with a 2-1 record. Tough loss for week 1 for them versus the Cardinals. And they bounced back the next 2 weeks. We have Texans who are 1-2. Tyrod Taylor getting hurt does not help them, as Tyrod Taylor was doing really good when he was in. Their rookie quarterback, He's shown signs of success, but he just needs to get a little better, a little more consistent. Then we have Colts. They have just been the disappointing team this year at 0-3. They played a couple of tough teams, but they just need to get rolling. And we have the Jaguars. They just suck straight up. Trevor Lawrence is starting to get a little bit of momentum going towards every single week, and it's starting to get better for them offensively, which is what they really need. So that is going to be it for this week. Join next time.